Hello YouTube, this is Muramasa for Muramasa Gaming, and I have a Vanguard deck profile for you. This is going to be a Link Joker deck profile, so let's begin. I'm going to start off with your starting Vanguard, which is Aran Messiah. If you're not familiar with what he does, it's pretty much when you unlock him, you can move him to the soul, choose one of your other units, give it 5,000, and you get to draw one card. Unlike Neon Messiah, you just search for another alter ego, or Messiah Vanguard. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to go in reverse order here and go grade 3s down. So, we have 4 alter ego of the original, 4 alter neo, or ego neo, alter ego neo, however you want to word it. Pretty much what he does is basically like the original, except you can choose not to lock a card with no cost. You can when you stride, you can. I'll read this word for word, it'd be a whole lot easier. When your Messiah G unit strides, you can choose one card from your hand, call it to a rear guard. Choose up to one of each fighter's rear guards, and you can lock them. And then GB2, you can Soul Blast one at the end of the turn if a locked card was unlocked. Due to one of your card's effects, you can pay the cost. If you do, you can draw 2 cards. Unlike the original Ultra Ego, where you can draw 1 for each card unlocked, as long as he's not in a strided state, like your end phase, you could draw as many as unlocked. But personally, I think Neo here is a little bit better. Next up for the grade 2s, we're going to run 3 Lady Fencer. If you're unfamiliar with what she does, when she's placed on rear guard, if you have a Messiah Vanguard, she gets 2,000 power, and this is also if she's unlocked as well. Placed on rear guard or unlocked, she gets 2,000 power. Then, auto rear guard GB1, you can counter blast when this unit attacks if you have a Messiah Vanguard. You can pay the cost. If you do, you can soul charge 1. This unit gets 5,000 power until end of that battle. And at the end of the battle, she is locked. Then, pretty much your heavy hitter for this deck is 3 Metallica Messiah. Again, if you're unfamiliar with what any of these cards do, I will read their effects. But for a Metallica or a Metallia, first off, this unit cannot be locked by card effects. Now, there is an exception with this, and that would be calling from deck or hand as a locked card. This would go in a locked state, but only on those certain rare occasions where you would have to call this as a locked card. Then he also has an auto rear guard, GB1. When your other card is locked or unlocked, this unit gets power plus 3,000 until end of turn. You can pretty much have him attack higher than any of your G units at any point without him having any support. Next up, we run 4 Arrestor Messiah. And what he does is, when he's GB1, When its card is placed on rearguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, until end of turn he gets 2,000 power, and lock this unit at the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one rearguard in any fighter's back row and lock it. So he combos well with other such cards in this deck. And now on to my grade 1s. Run 4 Dunmas Messiah. What he does is GB1, Soul Blast 1. At the end of the battle that this unit boosted, you may pay the cost, and if you do, choose up to one lock card and unlock it. And lock this unit when one of your and then you can choose one of your units and it gets 4,000 power. Good thing about him is do this with Lady Fencer to use bonus attacks. Then bring out Natalia Messiah and pretty much just keep boosting him 3,000 at a time. Now next up we run 3 Sacrifice Messiahs just to help with countercharging. But basically what Sacrifice here does, if you're unaware, when your other rear guard is locked, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, you can pay the cost, which is locking this card. If you do, you can countercharge 1, choose up to one of your other units, and give it 3,000 power until end of the turn. So if you lock a card, you can give the 3,000 power boost to Natalia and pretty much gain 6,000 instead of just 3. Next up, we have 4 Prayer Child. The Nullify here. This is the new one that came in Rondo of Chaos and Salvation. And what this card here does, other than it being a Nullify, of course. Activation from the drop zone, GB1. You can bind this card face up. Choose 2 of your rear guards and lock them, and you can draw a card. So I run this over the other bits to help speed up for in-game plays, which we'll get into with the G-Zone. Keep in mind that this deck here as a whole is not finished yet. Especially because Stargate is coming out next month. But yeah, to wrap up the end of our grade 1s, run 4 Destiny Dealers, sorry about that. He's pretty much your grade 3 Messiah Searcher and Stride Fodder. But you can reveal a grade 3, search your deck for one grade 3 with Messiah in its card name, and add it to your hand. Then choose one card from your hand and discard it. Now on to the trigger lineup. We run 4 heal. I run 3 different heals just for artwork wise. I will replace it when with the effect heal when it comes out from Stargate. Okay, now on to the crits. Run 4 Paradigm Shift. What Paradigm does is you can put this unit on the top of your deck. If you have a Vanguard with Starvader in its card name, you may pay the cost. Well, if you have a Starvader Vanguard, you can choose a lock card and lock it only if your opponent has a lock card. Hold on, let me read this more closely here. Auto Rearguard, put this unit on the top of your deck. If you have a Vanguard with Starvader in its card name and your opponent has a locked card, choose up to one of your opponent's rear guards in the back row, lock it, and then shuffle your deck. Pretty much for this deck here, we're using it just to recycle crits because we do not run Starvaders. Now on to the last little bit here. run 8 crit totals, but the other 4 don't matter. I would probably recommend Blink Messiah if you can afford it, which I can't personally at this point. And then for the last of the deck, we run 4 Beloved Child, just for a little extra draw power and a little extra soul charging. Move it to the soul move it from rear guard to soul. Give a unit 3,000 power, and then we're pretty golden on soul charging. Now onto the extra deck here. Going to start with Guardians first. Run 2 Maxwell. You can choose one of your rear guards in the back row, lock it, and he gets 5,000 shield. Run 2 Lady Healer. Pretty much when she's placed, you can Soul Blast 1, and you get shield based on 2 conditions. You get 5,000 power if you have a Messiah Vanguard, and you also get an additional 5,000 power if there is a locked card on the field. So if there's a locked card and you have a Messiah Vanguard, she gets 10,000 shield. So not bad to be a 25k shielder. Last for the Guardians, we run 1 Destiny Guardian. Unlock 2 cards, he gets 10,000 shield. Now, to the extra deck, I pretty much have a few filler spots here that you can add pretty much anything that you really care for to add. But run 1 Big Crunch, which I use just for persona flipping because I don't have a second copy at the moment. 1 Cleric Dragon, which I would use to flip the Nebula here. But what Nebula here does is Activation Vanguard. Choose a face down card from your G zone, turn it face up, and until end of turn this unit gets auto. Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. When this unit attack hits, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a rear guard from your opponent's front row and back row and lock them. So the attack does have to hit for that, but it's at best, I guess. Moving on, we run 3 Bearing Messiah. If you're unfamiliar with what he does, it's Counterblast 1. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose a rear guard in any fighter's back row, lock it. Then choose a lock card and unlock it. You're pretty much using this to help get your Ultra Neo's skill, just because it's a Messiah Vanguard and you need a Messiah to stride to get his Superior Call and Lock effect off. Next up, we run 2 Transels. When he's placed on the Vanguard circle, you can Counterblast 1. Choose all rear guards of all fighters and lock them, and then unlock any existing locked units. Pretty much use this to pretty much stall for a turn to go into pretty much the next guy, or the next big guy, I should say. But we run 1 Judgment Messiah. This is pretty much the same as Bearing. The attack does have to hit, but you can choose a lock card, unlock it, and choose a rear guard and lock it. I mostly just use it for fodder for Neo Harmonics. What Neo Harmonics does, if you're unaware, is pretty much you choose a face down G unit, turn it face up, and when he attacks, you unlock all locked cards, and he gets 5,000 power for each card that was unlocked by this effect, and all of your cards that were unlocked gets a power boost of 5,000 power. And if that effect was not sweet enough, your opponent cannot guard with grade 1 or higher cards from their hand. And on to the last part of the G zone. We run 2 Bastix Messiah. Pretty much what he does here is Counterblast 1 when he attacks. You can pay the cost, which is a Persona flip. Then you can choose as many number of lock cards and lock them, but you have to choose the same number of cards and unlock them, equal to the number of cards in your G zone. And if a card was unlocked by his effect, you can draw a card. But I will read it verbatim of what the card actually says in case anybody is confused by how I described it. Auto Vanguard, Counterblast 1, and choose a face-down card with the same name as this unit and turn it face up. When this unit attacks, if you have a heart card with Messiah in its, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a lock card and a rear guard in any player's field for each face-up card in your G-Zone, and you may lock or unlock each of them. If you unlocked one or more cards, you may draw a card. But yes, this is my somewhat budget-friendly Messiah deck. Give your comments down below and tell me how I can improve, preferably cheaper. Mostly all I'm really looking for is extra deck. But I will go through and explain what I'm planning on doing for the future real quick. I am expecting to pick up the new G rare from Stargate, which would be Integral Messiah. And I am planning on getting either an Amnesty or getting a Flatulent Messiah, as well as maybe getting 2 more Bastics. I'm just a little unsure of how that's going to go fund-wise. But overall, this deck runs smoothly if you want to try it out on Cardfight Area or IRL if you have these cards just laying around. Maybe you can even make this deck a little better and you can post in the comments section the deck list and I will look over it, maybe take an idea or two from you, and update this deck. But this is Muramasa from Muramasa Gaming, signing out.